Pink Couch Conversations with Carmalita.
And I hope you enjoy this pink couch talk. Pink couch talk? Let's do it again.
Pink Couch Conversations. The alliteration, girl.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's not that, no, but it's like, forget goals, but at the same time, we have to think like, what are our goals attached to? For me, being able to sustain my lifestyle while being at peace is my goal. However I do it. I've always said like, I'm not gonna work hard for money. I refuse. I will work hard for social justice. I will work hard for children. I will work hard for love. But money? Hell no. I wanna be able to live my lifestyle and also be at peace doing so. And that like employment or like financial stability and peace are not always, you know, on the same page. Like I had the 9 to 5, I was like financially stable, all the things. And then I realized like, I'm so miserable. I'm stressed out. My hair's falling out. My skin's breaking out. I like, you know, gaining weight, losing weight, all of these things. And I'm like, for what? And so to hear someone say like, no, I no longer attach, whether it be like a monetary value or a check mark or like this accomplishment, like I'm no longer attaching that to my success. To hear that is kind of like, okay, someone else in the world gets me, you know?
Absolutely. Because I mean, it's a difficult thing to do too, right? The entire world is, you know, dependent on like care about like what you make, your job title, and all of these things. Like they can matter, right? Because you can do incredible things with money, and you can have, you know, like I really enjoy my work. I absolutely do. But at the same time, like I don't like to tie up my like sense of self-worth and accomplishment like only in the thing that they pay me, like honestly not very much for. Like no. Like my dad always said, like figure out what it is that you're willing to work at, right? Instead of like figure out what makes you happy. He's like, no. I'm like, figure out what it is that you are willing to work at and then go do that. Because his perspective on money, while, you know, balanced out by other things, he would always say like, there's so much money in the world. If you want money, you can get money. That's not hard. It's honestly not hard to make money if you're willing to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. Like there's plenty of proven formulas for making money if that's what you're interested in. But finding something that you're willing to work hard at, like that for me is like what brings joy.
Really? Like there are some times where you can count every hour on the clock that you've done something because you're like, oh, I'm here. And then there are other times you can be like, oh snap, it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe this is pre-child. I don't know what it's like to be a mom because you may have more of those mornings than I do. But 3, 4 o'clock in the morning is not an hour that I know, unless I'm out being bad. But it's like, and then even then it's like, where are your priorities? Like I value sleep over so many things, but there's some times where I'm engulfed in my work, whether it's research or writing or like I'm writing down ideas to interview people. And I'm like, oh snap, it's like almost, you know, the next day and no time in my mind has passed. But then there are times where I have worked and I can count like another minute of my life. Another minute of my life has gone by, you know? And so it's like, I value being able to do the other thing where it's like, oh snap, I did work hard. I did bust my ass. I did all these things, but I feel good about the end result as opposed to I did this thing, but I don't feel so awesome about what I did to myself in the process.
So that's like what they call treadmill time, like 2 minutes on a treadmill is like 2 hours.
Literally, like that's it. That's all the time that's passed.
Not the same.
It's not the same at all. Time stops.
In every situation.
Yeah. So how would you encourage someone who maybe doesn't have this ideology or is maybe struggling with like their ideas are wrapped around their success or how to manage like the juggle of the struggle in today's time? Like what advice would you give to someone or encouragement rather?
So I literally have like on my desk taped up, it's this quote by Laura Roberts. But where she was talking about like somebody was asking her how she juggles like her kids and her career, right? Because she's a writer. And she was like, the key to juggling is knowing which balls are plastic and which ones are glass, right? Because some of them can be dropped and it'll be fine. Others will shatter if you drop them. So the only thing that you need to do is figure out what's going to shatter if I drop it and what will be maybe slightly bent but also ultimately be perfectly fine, right? Like I constantly have to remind myself of that because I'm the person who wants to do everything right the first time and make sure that everybody's happy and we're all, you know, everybody's good, we've got everything together, right? And that's just not, like, that's not real life. Like, I can't just ignore Miles for 8 hours. The child has to eat, right? That is a glass ball.
That is, yes.
Also for me, I know you understand this, obviously, like as a writer, like I'm dissertating right now, like this book, like this volume, this project, as much as I want to think about it as a plastic ball, like it's not that big of a deal, like it's just this, no, like this is glass. You need to prioritize this, right? But so for me, it's like not just you know, paying attention to this isn't that important or this is hugely important, but also making sure that I classify them correctly, because I will frequently inflate things in importance, right? Where things that actually should be occupying my time, I allow them to just kind of fall by the wayside. So for me, it's like taking specific time. Like, I don't know if people journal, but like I'm a journaler. Like if I don't write stuff down, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like that's, I have to write everything down. So for me, it's literally like drawing, like in my notebook, like literally just like circles, like which ones are glass, which ones are plastic, why are you having a problem keeping these separate? As far as juggling, like that, I think is my, is the advice that I personally live by. Again, everything is a work in progress, but for me, that's just a really important thing. Even just to think about it, 'cause I'm a visual person, just to think about these things is like, okay, this can drop, it's okay, keep this one up though, right? And then as far as like definitions of success and things like that, I think that it is so different for everyone, right? Because I don't want anyone to hear this and think like, oh, well, she thinks that like jobs or careers aren't important. I absolutely do not. Or I do not think that. Let me clarify. They are. It's your job. No, I'm not saying that.
It's your job.
Because exactly. Because before I, you know, like got married and we started our family and that kind of thing, like my job was like I loved it. Like I could all the time, constantly, all-nighters, because I love the work that I'm doing and this is important to me, right? So what I'm saying is like personally priorities shift. And I'm not even saying that, oh, once you get married and have a kid, like that's what's most important to you. Like daycares exist, nannies exist, right? So I'm not saying that we all need to respond in the same way. Because like I said, like my job used to be the most important thing to me because I loved it and I knew that I was doing like really important work and I still feel that way. But I also, the job that I'm doing like specifically right now brings me a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment. But at the same time, I know that it's not like a forever thing, right? Like this is not necessarily like my life's work. So I think that at different phases of life, or even for different people, right? Like success is going to look different and you need to be okay with the fact that yours might look different than mine.
That's beautiful.
Because especially as women, right? Like we're valued by the relationships that we have with other people. We're valued for only our contributions to other people. And it's just us where people, you know, we get called selfish when we're like, I need 1 hour today to do X, Y, and Z. They're like, well, I love my children, so like, come on, girl, like, stop. Everybody loves their kids, stop. But yeah, so I think it's again for me, just recognizing or being conscious of different phases of my life and the fluctuating importance of the different things that are going on. Also recognizing that the world is a crazy place and things change, right? And allowing myself to change and not holding on to things that aren't serving me anymore. All of these things we all know, but it's putting them into practice, which is the difficult part.
Well, thank you very much, Aminta, for joining me on Pink Couch Conversations. I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.